Mr. Tim, are you good?
Yeah, I believe I'm good.
Or you believe you are good?
Okay, there we go. I got the signal to start. It is just after 8 p.m. on a Monday night, the 23rd of August, and it's the weekend just after the opening rounds of the DSTV Premiership. The league is underway. Everyone's got a game under their belt, some walking away with points, some walking away with all the points, and in some instances, some teams getting nothing at all. So we're going to reflect on all of that as we get into the new week. There's already midweek fixtures on the way. So a short turnaround for some of the teams, but I'm sure now that they're got the football in their systems, they want to play as much as possible, especially before that pesky international break that seems to come at the beginning of the season, just as teams are getting a bit of momentum. But let's introduce you to my panel for this evening. Joined us last week. He's back again. We've got Brighton Mhlongo in the house, and we're joined by Eddie Dinya and Timothy Batabayer to reflect on the weekend that was. Good evening and welcome to you all, gentlemen.
Good evening, Mr. Kamza.
No, for sure. So let's start at the beginning. And the beginning started with what touted to be a cracking encounter, or would be. Like I say, I'm always hesitant with these big games as the first game of the season. I don't think teams are at their best. You don't get maybe the best showcase of football. But what did you make of Friday night's encounter that saw Mamelodi Sundowns get the victory against AmaZulu? Starting with you, Brighton. Welcome.
Oh, well, obviously, good evening to the viewers as well. And thanks for this opportunity, Kamza. Look, I think the main important thing is to give credit to Mamelodi Sundowns. I mean, they stuck their guns out. And then the coaches, obviously, they stick to the team that played Kaizer Chiefs. And they were the same Mamelodi Sundowns. I mean, good ball retention. They showed good tactical superiority as always. And I mean, I was impressed by the counter press that they were showing on the game. They didn't give AmaZulu enough time on the ball. And obviously, you know how it is. You limit time and space. That's the most important thing in football these nowadays when you don't have the ball. And when you have the ball, you need to be decisive. And I think that decisiveness, it did pay off at the end because you could see how they were moving the ball around very quickly. And both their fullbacks, they were creating problems because they were bombing forward. And they were creating an overload, you know, it was very difficult for the AmaZulu defense to cope with that. So I think they did well. However, I feel like they still need a bit of work. Like you've mentioned, it's still beginning of the season. They still need a bit of work in terms of the negative transition. As soon as they lose the ball, I think there's a bit of lapse of concentration and a bit of, you know, lethargic body positioning from the center back pairing and the center midfielders pairing. So that needs a bit of work, but overall it wasn't bad. I mean, they have a good depth of squad, and you could see with the subs as well, although there was not enough time for some of the players. But I mean, you could see Morena came in, he did well, almost created an assist as well. And then, I mean, Grant Genkana as well stands out for me because he came in to reinforce the defense. And he did well. He made some exceptional clearances out there. So overall, they're looking sharp and ready to defend their title.
Eddie, I guess some would say they were picking up right where they left off, but with some, you know, shiny new pieces to add to the arsenal.
Good evening, Kamza, and then give good evening to the viewers. I think, yeah, I do agree with Benson. I mean, sorry, Brighton. My bad. Brighton. I think, yeah. You could say that Sundowns, I think they started very well and, you know, showing why they are the champions. And, I mean, you could not take anything away from them. I mean, if you look at the bench, I mean, if you look at Roland Quinn, I mean, from the bench, the way you are so furious, I mean, whenever they miss a chance, that shows you that they know exactly where they want to go. And, you know, Sundowns, you know what, we still have to see it. That is going to match them and be prepared to beat them. I mean, Tembazwani, outstanding. I mean, you look at everything that he does, always there in the right time, right places. And I mean, if you look at even the bench of Sundowns, anybody that comes in make a difference. So I think Sundowns still has it, and I'm pretty much sure that they will still win the DSTV championship.
Tim, on your side, what do you make of how Sundowns took to the field? Considering, I mean, on both sides, Benny, for him, this is pretty much the core of the team he's looking to, sustain these challenges on many fronts. Yes, we understand there's players that are still going to come back into the fold. But were you convinced, especially up against a side like Sundowns, who they're trying to be like, that there was enough in their performance to show that they could be, able to upset them, even though the result didn't go their way this Friday? It's a long season. But from what you saw from Sundowns and on the other side, Amazulu, how far away are they from each other as far as quality?
Look, it was a very good game of football, given the fact that it's the beginning of the season. I tried to put into consideration the preparation. That's the pre-season. That's the loading of the players so that they can be able to sustain themselves for the whole season. So from the display, I could tell that Amazul had loaded their players more than Sundowns. Sundowns was more managing their players on how to cope. Having won the league title, having had so many games, I could have a feeling that it's more of managing the players how to cope, not to overload, vis-a-vis what Amazul had done with the loading of the players to try and compete both on the league and the continental level. So if you look at the ball retention of Sundowns was a marvel to watch, and also could understand that as the game progressed, you could have a feeling that Amazul was getting into the groove of it, and that's what always happens after the start of the season, after that heavy load of the preseason. As the game goes on, the body gets it starts adopting well, and it becomes very competitive. That's what we saw Amazul towards the end of the league. But there are some exceptional players like Domingos when he was playing. Sundowns, you could expect them to play the way they did. But for me, what was very fundamental was how they were pressing and willing to win the ball and try to punish the opponent. And if they can master that, I can guarantee you that yes, they won't win the league, but they will be able to be challengers to defend the league title.
Yeah, I mean, Brighton, to that point, it's something that Rivaldo brought up in his post-match was, just how, it wasn't an easy ride. It wasn't an easy ride at all. And I mean, also in defense, Deruk made a critical block that could have put Amazulu back in the reckoning. They didn't have it all their own way, but composure, calm, and, fighting spirit, as their coaches will have pointed out. That's what kind of saw them through that result.
Yeah, look, I think besides the fighting spirit and everything, I think what stands out most for Mamelodi Sundowns is that tactically they're growing very stronger and stronger. Each and every game, you can see that it's becoming an old machine. It's been, like that for previous seasons and so forth. But like I've mentioned earlier on, I think it's just those minor things whereby I think the body positioning, like I've mentioned, I think the negative transition, as soon as they lose the ball, I think there are times whereby when the game goes on and keeps dragging, they lose some sort of concentration. And against Kaizer Chiefs, it worked against them where they got punished twice, and at least this game, luckily they didn't get to concede, but you could see the signs here and there. You can allude to what Riva is saying, because most importantly, once you see your center backs separate, that's where you're going to have a problem. A goal chance is bound to be created from that. So a center back and defensive central midfielders, once they get lost in the middle of the park, that's when you get to create chances and all those openings for the opponents. So I could agree with what they were saying, but again, looking at how Amazulu played, they're still trying to find the right combinations with the new pairings, the center back and the central midfielders as well, and obviously the absentees of the influential players of the likes of Luvuyo Memela and Augustine Mulenga, which obviously they've been very influential in their goal scoring opportunities, ratios, and so forth, and obviously with the changes they made up front as well, which make you wonder, because Majoro scored the goal the previous game and then suddenly was dropped to the bench again, and when he came on he missed a sitter as well. So all those kind of things, you can see that he's still trying out to find combinations, he's still trying to find their feet, and once they find their feet, I think there'll be a force to be reckoned with,
Yeah, I'm wondering. I mean, in a weekend where we saw strikers make a hot start, do you gentlemen maybe think Nduli's put himself under a bit of pressure because once everybody is fighting fit, I mean, I don't know. I feel that he runs the risk of being the forgotten man. Yes, it's a long campaign. Yes, there'll be many football games to play, but if he's not on form, then you feel like that there's a lot of ways that they can rejig the system to accommodate other players. And right now, he's just more a function of just having to deal with what the coach has at the moment. Tim, I mean, looking at that as a defender, would you be threatened by the way he has played at the weekend? And like I say, other strikers, not even just in our league, came out fighting at the weekend by getting their first goals of the league season.
Look, it's very important, for me, if you're managed by Benny, I think you are at an advantage because you're sharing the platform with somebody who has been there and done it. As a striker, you're going to go through moments when you're not finding the back of the net, and I believe that's the time when, as a striker, you should play for the team. That's when you should run into the channels, hold on to the ball, make sure that your midfield players link up play to join and create those pockets in the back line of the opponent and score goals. So it's not important, it's not definite that you should always score. But for me, if a striker is creating those other opportunities for the likes of other strikers and midfielders to score and the team wins, I'll give it to the striker than himself scoring.
Okay, and then Eddie, I mean, this battle for supremacy is not going to end just here, because we know with Sundowns, as long as the transfer window is open, they could still get stronger. I mean, could you ascertain any deficiencies, any departments? Kennedy Mwene started again in goal. You've obviously got Onyango, who's still very capable. Now there's rumors that Ronwen Williams is one of their targets. Do they really need that? I mean, is that the missing part of piece of the puzzle, or is it just a case of holding with what they have and moving forward? Sundowns fans, if you're watching, and you can comment in the chat on our YouTube stream, does Sundowns need any more pieces for the puzzle? I mean, especially in that department, because Ricardo Goss is also still there. So, I mean, Eddie, do they, are they sorted? Are they nice? Or do you fear, as a fan of another team, that they might still go out there and do more business?
I mean, Sundowns, with their intentions of winning the DSTV championship, and I'm sure also that they want to win, the CAF championship. I think from there, once winning it, then you go to club, championship. So I think that's where Sundowns are aiming. So if they are interested in Rowan Williams, that means their intentions are true. Then why not now then beef up even, let's say Onyango is injured and then we have got Mwene again injured. Even if we have got two goalkeepers that are injured, then you still have one of the best goalkeepers in South Africa who would want to have him. Sundowns, if they want to have him, I think he's also he's a good add-on to Sundowns. With their intentions, I think it would be good for them.
Yeah, look, I mean, to add on what Eddie is saying as well, I think we shouldn't forget the main important fundamental piece here, to say, look, we're looking to continue beefing up the squad, and at the same time, we're looking to build a championship winning material team. Therefore, how do we go on to do so without destabilizing the team as a whole? Because you find that these days, most teams, when we make signings, we're too quick to introduce these players without having given them the time to integrate with the older players that are within the structures, you understand? So therefore, you find that there's a Dennis Onyango who's, I mean, at what age now? 36, 37, somewhere there. And then while he's playing, obviously he's about to retire or to be injury prone. Therefore, you need a very suitable replacement ready, whom has at least a bit of experience and who has played continental competition, and at least who still has age on his side. So if they do have a chance to do so, why not? And especially it creates good competition, and at the same time it puts the team at a good place to compete for higher honors.
That's an interesting one.
Even Kennedy Mwini also is, I think, 38 at 9 also.
Yeah.
There's also Riyad Peterson, guys, but I get your point. I think I was going to bring up the point about Riyad Peterson until Brighton said continental experience. I think for me, that's when you kind of validated why they would go for someone like Ronwin. So that you've justified it with that. But I mean, can it get to a
I wasn't
point
ready for the fire that was coming my way.
Well, gents, I didn't let the guys finish. So if there is some friendly fire that's going the way of Brighton, gentlemen, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
So if I'm to consult for Lowen Williams, I would advise him to stay put at SuperSport. Currently is the current national team goalkeeper.
Yeah,
he's having much needed game time. That game time has made him what he is today. Now you can always raise the age factor. I think that the goalkeepers are always gifted. They can go over and above 40 performing. And I'm not seeing in the likes of Onyango and Kennedy Mwini willing to hang up their gloves soon, unless.
But they need a push, Pratim. They need a push. I mean, at the end of the day, on Ronwen's side, you could say game time, it's fine, but you want honors as well to accompany that. He wants to win something. He wants to win. He needs a new challenge as well, because he could be very complacent at SuperSport and not get the push that he needs to be the best or to reach his ultimate peak that we want to see in him.
But already what we have seen at SuperSport is bringing the best out of him. Now, I can guarantee you that in my experience in the PSL League, few teams and few players are mature enough to understand that maybe they are feeling a ego somewhere, and they can allow an equally good goalkeeper or fellow player to play. They will continue want to play. So you're having the likes of Dennis Onyango, having retired from the national team, rumored to be used to go back to the national team. You have got Kennedy Mwini, you have got Ryan. Him going in there is not going to have the much needed game time, for him to be that competitive back to the national team. I can guarantee you that may affect his selection. We very well know that as long as he's not competing week in, week out, we're going to have a Kune scenario where you're just him to be a backup goalkeeper on the national squad. You don't need that. For me, career, it will be suicidal for him at this moment in time. To go
Good point.
That's a good point.
Talk about money, but he can equally make good money at SuperSport being still the number one goalkeeper.
No,
and he has time on his hands.
And he has time on his hands. Yeah, we're not talking money. I think our point here should be in terms of
winning things.
Growing your to a different level, you understand? And you need a little push sometimes, whereby you don't get too complacent, because yes, we can say week in, week out you're playing, but are you getting the push to reach your ultimate peak that we want to see you in? Because now there'll be questions in terms of, I've seen questions in terms of, well, he's doing well at SuperSport, we think, and then national team, has he produced the same results, for the national team? It's been a difficult one to answer. So what is the difference between that? And then that's where you see the difference to say, am I competing at the same level between country club and to national team level? So I think sometimes, much as I can agree with Pratim what he's saying, you wouldn't want to risk losing your spot, but at the same time, to better yourself and to challenge for top honors, you need to be amongst the best every time.
Okay, I hear your point, right? And I think, Eddie, if I'm hearing him right, it's, to be coached better, to be around better systems that'll extract the true value of you as a player. It's like, sometimes it's the difference between if a player is asked to go be coached by Pep, you're going to want that, because there might be financial implications, 100%. But at the same time, it's the coaching, it's the level of, how much better can I be? I think that would be the question at the heart of any move that Ronwin would look at. What do you think?
100%.
No, absolutely. I do agree with Brighton. To be the best, you need to play with the best. And now for him to go to Sundowns, now everybody now is looking to see who's going to be the first choice. As Brighton has said, there are owners also too that to be played for. Once you get your opportunity to play, grab it like what these other guys have been doing. Yes, we understand there's Mini there, then there's Onyang. But once you get your opportunity to go and play, then grab it and then you be the number one. Remember, he is still South Africa number one. So once you get your opportunity there at Sundowns, then that's it. Because he needs to have owners. Let's just be real. Do we see SuperSport playing in the CAF Champions finals?
Not anytime soon.
Not anytime soon.
And we need that experience.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you go to Sundowns, chances are very high that he is going to be playing there. Exactly. So now, but if we say stay at SuperSport and then play week in, week out, then how do you know that he is the best? He
must getting the exposure.
Yes, he must get competition from these experienced guys. They can even guide him also too. Better coaching, as Kamil say, and then better team.
Yeah, and the experience competing in continental will also benefit now subsequently rub into the national team, because now you'll get the experience, the much needed experience that we need, because now you can see the difference in terms of when we're playing league games and having to switch to play continental football. It's two different things, and some of our players, they kind of struggle to adapt quickly to that, to that environment. Therefore, it leads back to, do we have enough exposure into continental football? You understand? So that's where now it comes in terms of helping the national team, because yes, the clubs are doing well. We're doing well. We're having different teams now competing in the continental football. But as a nation, where are we going? Because it seems like now the clubs are progressing. Sundowns won the Champions League, Chiefs were in the final. But where are we as a country in the national team football? We haven't even qualified for the AFCON, so to speak, you understand? So we need to look at it that way, to say grassroots, where are we missing it? Are we competing in the right way? Are we competing with the right people? And are we doing it right? That's the whole question that we need to ask ourselves.
For me, Eddie and Mtongo, I would still insist that the epitome of every player is the national team. There's no experience that beats the national team ever. We have the clubs playing continental, and the clubs feed into the national team. That's for sure. But I'm looking at Rowan. The reason why he's wanted at this moment in time is equally good.
Definitely.
So I will disagree to put Rowan Williams in a position to compare him with Onyango and Kennedy to see who is the best. And he's wasted at Sundowns. We have seen, in my experience, I've seen players get wasted because they are making that transfer. I would prefer a player to prove that he's good equally where he is. And he has proven that. And he's on the national team. And remember, you have a player of his caliber that has come through the ranks. Now we are looking, we are trying to compare, is he good enough if he's competing with other equally good goalkeepers? I think that is wrong. In my understanding, the reason why Sundowns would love to have him as a backup is when called upon, he can equally do the job that is required of him. So that's the.
But we're not sure if he's going as a backup. We're not sure, and we're not saying Onyango. Who said Onyango cannot be replaced? Who said Onyango cannot be replaced? I believe that Ricardo Goss stepped in a couple of times. He did well. He's an exceptional goalkeeper who's ready to replace anyone at any time soon. I mean, he went to the national team and he made his debut against I think it was Zambia or Botswana. I think it was Zambia when they played a friendly. And he did well, you understand? So I believe now we need to change this misconception within our coaching structures to say, if there's a player, I believe that's what Baxter did over the weekend, but we'll touch on that later on. But I think we need to change the misconception from the society as a whole to say, if we have a number one, and if he's not doing well, and there's someone below him or behind him who's doing exceptionally well, why can't we give him the chance to shine as well? You understand? So we cannot say so-and-so owns a position. We cannot say you are coming in as a backup. You're going in there as a Sundowns player who's willing to compete and fight for his jersey finish.
Okay.
And then from there, you grab, like Eddie has alluded to that. If you grab your opportunity, then chop all down, you are the number one, then we're going forward. And you've done it, you know.
Okay. Let's move on to Benny McCarthy's comments after the match. You know, he got asked in terms of, you know, the chairman wanting some sort of silverware, you know, and Benny was like, well, you know, he can desire what he desires, but it doesn't work like that, or something to that effect. You know, essentially saying that, hey, no, man, chairman must, you know, hold his horses. I might give him something, maybe, but you know, it's not a given. Considering the support, you know, somewhat of the investment, the many fronts that he'll be fighting on. Because I don't know. I think maybe as, you know, management, you think we're fighting on a couple of fronts. One, you know, fighting against Pope somewhere. And then the coach will be like, actually, that might be the reason why we don't get anything, is because we have a lot of things to do and might be stretched. So who has the stronger, you know, case here? Is it the chairman who's like, listen, you've got options, you got CAF, you got local competition in the net bank, you got the league, you know, win something? Or is it Benny that's saying, well, you know, the fact that I have CAF, the fact that I'll have net bank, the fact that I'll have the league might mean I don't? Who's right?
You know, I think Kamza, this goes in two ways. I mean, if you look at the chairman, checkbook, get the players that you want. Once you get that, here's the mandate for you. This is what I want, because I've given you the checkbook. You got the players that you need. So now let's have silverware. Yes, I understand. I mean, if you're listening very closely to Benny's post-match interview, he was very impressed with his players, the way that they played, and according also to his tactics, that exactly what they wanted to do against Sundowns. He said, we came here, we did that. They also created chances of which they would have scored. If they had scored that, I think it was going to change the complex of the game. But now, when there is pressure, when you ask the chairman for an open checkbook and you get the players that you need, now you need to deliver. That's the sad part about it. So if you don't, then I'll fire you.
Okay, is that how it works? I mean, Tim, we can't hear you. I don't know that we're having a slight problem with the mic, but I'm going to pose the question to you. To Eddie's point, you know, they've got the likes of Eckstein still waiting. You got Talinge who's still outside. You got Musonda still outside. You've got, you know, all these players. Mamela, you know, has the time for excuses. You know, come like, well, he can't make any excuses. Rather, Benny McCarthy, because he's gotten the support, like Eddie said.
I love Benny, and I would love to see many of such coaches caliber in the PSL. At this moment in time, Benny is trying to put it clear that I should tell you that we should be able to give you a trophy. You should remain in the boardroom, and I remain in charge of the dressing room. For me, I love Benny for that. It's very important to draw a clear cut. Yes, there's money being thrown around worldwide when it comes to getting players and everything like that, but it does not automatically win you trophies. It may improve or increase your chances of winning a trophy, but managing the team to win trophies is very different. We saw it with Pizzo before he started winning trophies. We have seen it with Pep, the likes of Jose Mourinho. You cannot buy a trophy. You need to win a trophy. So I think Benny tactically managed to try and take away the attention and the pressure from his players. And I think that was a masterstroke from Benny. And in the boardroom, they'll try to manage it well. But in the public domain, I think I give kudos to handling it better.
That's interesting. Mbulelo Kevin says, I think management is putting pressure on him now from recent results, losing Premier Cup, MTN 8 upset, and losing the opening game. You know, I don't know. Maybe the chairman wouldn't have envisaged to start like this, Brighton, but it is what it is. And maybe to that point of, you know, managing his expectations as a coach. Do you agree that's the way to do it, the way that he handled it at the weekend?
Yeah, look, I think I totally agree with Pratim what he's saying, and at the same time, I feel like we really do need coaches who stamp their authorities, because that really shows that he's willing to put his neck on the block for his players. You understand? And having said that, I mean, going back to the chairman's mandate or his expectations and so forth.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say yes, much as he's talking from the chairman's perspective, you need to look at it in a way that, look, these guys, they did well last season, but we mustn't forget that they were in a building phase. Yes, things might have worked out for them very quickly than expected, but at the same time, he needs to understand that they're still in the building phase. So he needs to trust the process, because now we've mentioned so many trophies that they were talking about. But ever heard of the saying whereby you have a whole lot of things in your hand, you're bound to drop something that's very important, one way or the other you will. So I think right now, the main important thing, he must still focus on building and having that continuity to say, look, we did well last season, but right now, let's try and push even further if possible. But the main important thing is to make sure that we still maintain the playing strategy, the playing philosophy, and the culture of the team. I think that's the most important thing that they need to adapt into. So
Okay.
I think, yeah, because the main important thing is to always redeem the culture of the team, because they had already lost that with the previous owners, with the previous coaches, and all the changes that had happened. And when Benny stepped in, he managed to regain that, and then they finished well. So we need to work on sustaining that, because we have teams who come on and they play well, and then they are called one hit wonders and so forth. The main important thing right now is just to make sure that they continue rebuilding and growing the brand of Amazulu football. The rest shall follow, and it will fall into place.
Well, let's see, because, obviously when, Benny arrived, he promised things. The chairman wanted the top four. Benny gave him second place. Anything better than second place is first place. But has Benny bought himself time by delivering ahead of schedule? Something tells me he hasn't. That's not how it's looked at, even though he has surpassed the mandate that he was given initially. Okay, let's keep it moving. Gavin Hunt is up and running. He said, when speaking to him at the launch, that ahead of this, it's one of the craziest preseasons he's had. But it seems like he's been able to wrangle this team together. And yes, it's against one of the newer teams in the league in Sekhukhune, but off the mark. Sometimes opponents can take advantage of the disarray that Chippa find themselves in.
Yeah.
But here he is at the beginning of the season, instilling calm, instilling, a team. And in the end, 16 new signings, I think it was. He has to kind of, mash into a team. But hey, man, he's got points on the board, rather. Here he is. He's up and running. What do you guys make of how Chippa traveled at the weekend? Because let's be honest, it wasn't an away game. They came up here and they got the result.
I think, if you look at the game itself, I mean, you could tell that Sekhukhune had a better much of the game than Chippa. Chippa got that chance, scored, and then that's it. But if you look at Sekhukhune now, I mean, if you look at the chances that they've created, I think they had 16 shots, and then they had Chippa had 9, and then out of those 16, Sekhukhune only 1 that was on target. And then if you look at Chippa had 9, and then that one, and then that's the one that they scored. But then if you look at even ball position, Sekhukhune had 58, and then Chippa had 42. So it shows you that Sekhukhune, they came to the game, they know exactly what they wanted to do, despite missing their chances, but they played well than Chippa. But we all know Gavin. As soon as the minute you get a goal, and then that's it, the game will end 1-0. So I think that's what Gavin wanted. Him not getting much of the ball and not getting the tempo of the game that he wanted. He got the goal, and then that was it. And then Sekhukhune tried new signings, it didn't come right, and then the game finishes 1-0.
Yeah, there we go. Efficient in the end. And like you say, like I think the coach of Kukunen was just frustrated because he thought, you know what, I got to get something out of this after all that huffing and puffing. And I mean, it almost draws parallels also to, you know, the derby that you saw with Maritzburg also not getting the desired result, even though I think there, Brighton, you know, the keeper, I'm not sure about the Maritzburg keeper. The jury is out. I'm sure you guys, as goalkeepers in your WhatsApp group, gossip about him, and he's still waiting to see if he's going to get in there. But yeah, I mean, there we go. Up and running, Tim, is Gavin, and you know, has an opportunity now to take it back to basics. But besides, you know, what he has to do on the pitch, there's that management that he has to do, the man management of one Pagamani Mashambi, for example, who comes back into the fold, a player who many will say hasn't realized his potential, you know, but maybe Gavin Hunt has the touch, has the ability to get into his mind. Right, and I want to get your thoughts on that too in a sec, because you know him, having played together. But you know, that's the juggling job he has, you know, is to off the field get these players mentally and physically right, and then still hope that, you know, because I'm sure as players and squads, you see when a player's focused or a coach is focused in on one player, and for all that energy to not come good on the field, I think will be super frustrating maybe for Gavin. But yeah, starting with you, Tim, what do you make of the job he has now on the hands to get into the mind of that young man and get the best out of him?
I think Gavin being Gavin, already with 16 signings, that is his trademark, you know, coming the whole squad. But for me, what is key, if you've got a team like Chippa United, which finished 15th, had to go in the playoffs, play the likes of Richards Bay, No Show, Royal AM, but managed to. Now you are looking at a team that normally doesn't start well, and on the first game of the season, they have got 3 points under Gavin Hunt. Leave alone his journey at the Chiefs, what transpired. But you're looking at a coach who made a masterstroke decision to join Chippa United. I believe at this moment in time is management himself. So he's trying to get this team to be very professional and run in a professional way. So for any mandate for this team, it's just not to be relegated. And know that Gavin Hunt is one of those coaches who want to compete and win things. If you look at the signings that he has gone for, the indications are there that he's there to compete. There's this young man, Klambi Makapani. You know, for me, he's a talented young player that needs a manager who can just understand him. We have got so many cases in the football industry where players test the bottle, they love the high life. It's not bad. It's just how to manage. How to manage it and how the coaches understand the players and get the best out of it. And in most cases, most managers have failed to understand how to manage players. Players are different. You cannot make all the players to be the same. We have had players who are very good at the bottle, but when they come on the field of play, on that day they give you what you want because they are managed well. It's not that I'm encouraging the bottle, but I'm saying.
I was wondering there. I was like, where is Tim going with this one?
Skipper.
You know, football is the only institution where the employee actually controls the employer. So if the manager understands that, then you are most likely to understand how to manage the employee, in this case, who has decided to become your employer in that business. Because the players have to deliver. They have to keep your investment. So as long as the players got a contract, he may decide not to perform, unfortunately, and it may affect the team. And that's what has happened with this young man, because he has got a longer contract with Sundowns. Sundowns is not willing to sell him outrightly. He's always going on loan. So he had decided just to sit and relax and say, if you don't want me, give me my my lease letter, and then I can go somewhere else and play. So when you have got a father figure in the likes of Gavin Hunt, I think you are most likely to see this young man on Bafana squad.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think let's not get excited, Tim, and because we know the type of person Chippa Mpenyeti is. Kevin Hunt can win 4, 5, 6 games. He can still get fired. You know what I mean? So
I was going to get to that point.
Yeah,
that it's all kind of built on a deck of cards. You know, if you remove the coach and he's put in a player, and then it all falls down.
It does frustrate. It does get frustrating. It does get frustrating.
At this moment in time, Gavin Hunt is the chairman at Chippa United. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
On a rolling contract, though. I mean, you know, how much confidence can you have that the man's going to stay the course?
Yeah. I may not be privy to the clauses of the contract, but I can tell you the desire of Mpengesi is to see his team, very competitive and very professional.
Yeah.
And what he has always wanted is somebody who can help him, achieve that. He may not know how a football team should be run, but he will run on the job as he has showed. If you're not getting him the requires you. Now, in hand, he will not be in the relegation dogfight at the start.
I agree.
So that gives him an opportunity to go along with Gavin Hunt as they try to professionalize this team of Chippa United.
Okay, so Gavin said to him, "I'll take the wheel. I'll take the wheel. Let me see where we can take us." So, but I want to hear about the relationship they have, Brighton, because obviously at Wits, in the mix there was Pagamani. This was before he kind of, launched his career, and it's kind of fizzled out. So, I mean, in your assessment, like, how does Gavin help him? What did you see of their time together at Wits that thinks that, Gavin can be the one to unlock him?
Yeah, look, I mean, with Gavin Hunt, I can ascertain you right now that he's not your Jurgen Klopp kind of coach where he's going to hug you, lift you up, kiss you. He's the tough love kind of father figure. So he's good at that. And I believe, I mean, with the first signing that he made when he went down to Chippa, which was director of football, Roy Lomignoli, you can see that he's already, his mentality is to build a formidable team that will compete at the same time, and always using his own philosophy. I mean, you can look at, I did mention it last week, that you look at the signings that he made, he's already putting out a statement to say, I want players that will understand my philosophy and they'll stick to it. Because, with Gavin's football, you play from the second ball, you have a solid spine, which is a good goalkeeper, a good center back, a good defensive midfielder, and a good attacking midfielder, and a good striker. You put the ball wide, put in the cross, have numbers, good. And he showed all the signs over the weekend, because much as we're looking at the stats in terms of position, yes, Kukune had the position, but they couldn't neutralize it, because you look at the area map for the action map, you could see that 61% was mainly in the midfield congestion, and then not much on both final third ends. Therefore, it shows that everything that was happening was second ball, put the ball wide, put the crosses, and we were playing in quick transition, which is that's what Gavin does, and always make sure that you close down the distances, between the defense and the midfield. You stay compact as much and reach it as much as you can. So those are the signs, and you could see that now. I mean, there's rumors that he wants Pangali Somahoro as well. You could see that he's already planning. And then when it comes to Pagamani, he knows how to manage him. The important thing that he always says to him, just go and deliver on the field of play. The rest will fall into place. I think that's what most South African players need. If they get the confidence on the field of play, everything falls into play outside of football. Because if you get a happy player, definitely they'll know how to handle themselves off the field, because they are happy on the field. They want to come back and work for you. So with Pagamani, even when he does all his wayward stuff, he knows that he needs to come back on the field of play and work hard for Gavin Hunt, of which that's what he used to do at Wits. When he given the chance, he'd work hard. And then off the field, yes, he needs a bit of guidance here and there. But as long as he's happy on the field of play, he'll still come back and deliver for you. So those are the things that we should consider, that Gavin Hunt came back and he made sure that he signs players that will fit into his playing style. And trying to blend in a bit of youth and experience at the same time, and which is working for him. And you could see even with set pieces, set play, all these things. And he knows. I mean, you see Mkhokolo Dingele is doing well, set plays, deliveries. So all those kind of things, you must know it says Gavin Hunt, and he's going to put the works in the spanner, and the team is going to do well. Okay,
before we move on to the next game, gents, lastly, just words for Coach Big Mac, it's Kukuna, because I mean, they huffed and puffed. It wasn't the worst of starts besides the results, but how do you see them faring compared to, the other teams in the top league? And, what do you think they just need to get right? I mean, one would argue maybe more of a killer instinct in front of goal, but from the overall play, Tim, Eddie, what did you guys see from Skukuna that, I don't know, maybe makes you think they might stick it out? I don't know. It's always very difficult to back the team that's just been promoted, but any signs there that they might pull a Leeds? Because I think Leeds also lost their first game when they arrived there, and then in the EPL, and then went on to fire on all cylinders. So, do you think there might be a surprise package in there?
Yeah, I think Kamza. I think if you look at how they played against the Chipa, I think they did pretty well. I mean, their defense was okay. And then in the middle, they tried to win as much balls as they can. And then only what was letting them, I think it was in the final third, of which chances that they've created. If they've put in those ones, then I think we would be talking a different story. So I think, they will surprise. I think they will surprise a couple of teams and win games. I think if they can only do that, and then I think the rest it's okay. I think it's a team to watch out again.
Tim, I mean, it's the fights to get as quickly as you can to, 30 points? The one that they try. What's the magic number for the teams when they try to come up? But I mean, is that the target? Is just to try and get to that as quickly as possible? And do you think they'll do it, considering how other teams have strengthened, considering the experience in other teams?
I'm worried for them, and I think they need to try and play for results first and foremost before try to impress that they are in the PSL. They need to try and release the ball quicker, get into those dangerous areas and play for a result. The quicker they get the results, the sooner they're going to try to become comfortable, and they will do a good service for themselves. If the results are not forthcoming, and given the fact of the season they have had in the lower division, and given the bulk of their players being in the lower division, then they will struggle. It's very important that in the first 5-8 games, they need to play for results.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, look, Kabza, I think to add on what Tim is saying, on a tactical perspective, I believe that they were disjointed, and I couldn't even recognize in one frame the two banks of four defensively. I mean, there were too many spaces in between the lines. And make no mistake, they have a very quality side. I mean, they have good attacking and creative players on paper, but when it came to the game, they didn't create much. Yes, the stats say they have few attempts, but one on target. They didn't create much to trouble the defense. I mean, and we're looking at a new side of Chipa United. I mean, what more when you're playing against a very formidable side like your Sundowns, like your SuperSport, the teams that have already, consolidated their places, So I feel like on a tactical point of view, they can do better, try to minimize the spaces in between. And I mean, with the goal they conceded as well, you don't know if it was a mixed marking, a man marking or zonal. So there's a bit of lack of communication as to whether we're doing zonal or we're doing man marking. So all those kind of things, because even that ball, it took a bounce as well after that when it ricocheted from another defender. So the players are not close enough to the ball, so the sense of agency. So it's a whole lot of factors. So you could tell that it was a combination of so many errors that they can try and minimize, because in the big league, like Tim has said, it takes only one chance. If you don't play for a result, it takes only one chance and then you are gone. You understand? So those are the things that they should just try and minimize, to say, look, now we need to be tactically sound in order to match the big guns out there.
Yeah, well, all the best to Coach Makubedu as he tries to lead Sekhukhune to the promised land of safety in the upper echelons of South African football. Let's then move on to some of the other results that came through over the weekend. Baroka, I guess, gentlemen, I know you can sit this one out, Brighton.
Please, eh?
Yeah, sure. maybe the benefits or the beneficiaries of continuity, you have a new coach and you have a bedded in coach for the first game of the season. I kind of, even if you have a new manager bounce, I still feel like so early in the season, that one was always going to be Coach Toka's to lose in a sense, because he has that history with the club. And, in the end, gentlemen, it seems to have worked out, Tim, that, this coach who was the butt of many jokes around his qualifications last season, gets off to a fine start against what some may say are, coaches from overseas with their fancy badges and whatnot. Toka there had the last laugh, Tim.
Once the coach proves that it's not in the CAF requirements of qualifications for you to try and make the grade, because history has it that so many coaches have not been to school, but they have been able to unearth very many talent that have gone far in football. So maybe it's a classic example that management or the powers that be can get such coaches and nurture them to be better, get them to understand the nutrition and the science of the game without castigating them. If you look at his team, it is purely playing on the rhythm of his charisma as a person leading a team. They are feeding off that. Giving them the preparation and allowing them, the players, to go and enjoy themselves on the field of play. As players, we understand that we have had so many instances where the coach will be giving you mixed information as regards the opponents you are facing, and the order want the players to go onto the pitch and try to make the coach very astute in his coaching tactics. So we have experienced, and that's what I feel this Paloka team is experiencing, and they have bonded together. The players do understand each other, and they are trying to play for the team, for the badge, what is being communicated to them. And it's a team that has got ambitious owners, and that is what rubbing off the squad very well. So the coach will remain, and if there is any change, I think will still remain within the hierarchy of the team. We won't go very. So for me, they executed very well their game plan. They're having a wonderful squad to watch. It is a continuation of the team of last season. So it's a team to watch.
Exactly. Yeah,
just without Goodman obviously in the mix, but they seem to be okay and coping without him. But on the other side, Eddie, for Gallants, did you see anything there that makes you think, okay, once they all, I don't know, figure out what they're doing under the new coach, that they might, were there any promising signs from the game from them?
One thing that I see, Kamu, is the identity of the. I tried so many times. I even fast forward, rewind, trying to check whether there's a change, but I could not find it. I think the good thing is that Baroka experienced team, like what Tim was saying. They wanted to score goals. They did that, and then they killed the game. I think as the Gallants, I think it's a way of now going back. Video analysts sit the team down, check exactly what they did wrong. The good thing is that these are the first games, so you can try and Do
you think Dylan Kerr would have lost that game?
No.
Tim is saying no. Firm no. Firm no. Now you want to speak, right? You want to say something.
It's itching because look, first and foremost, we need to give credit to Baroka because while I was I'm around Polokwane and so forth, and the preparation towards the game has been fantastic. I think not taking anything away from Marumo Gallants, the preparation as well is always good. But with Baroka, they went to camp, I think, on a Wednesday, preparing for the game over the weekend, and they're only gonna be released from camp after the Chiefs game. So already that on its own, it tells you so much about what Tim is saying about the chemistry and the feel amongst the players and the technical team. which already showed when they played. I mean, you could see from the onset that their game plan was to press high, counter press, don't give them enough time, because I mean the previous meeting between the two teams, well, obviously TTM versus Baroka. I mean, TTM was all over Baroka, and I think Baroka realized that, look, these guys, they're good on the ball and they'll keep on coming. So as long as we stay compact and don't give them any spaces, we're going to harm them. And obviously with the experience that they have, I mean, with Evans Mahopa being back from the national team, exploits the Olympics and Bafana, he's doing well. And it can show, because his confidence is high as well, you know. And even the integration between the new signings and the old players, you can see that there's not much of a difference. Everyone just came in and fitted in like hand to the glove, you know. So, but as for Marumo Gallants, I mean, I think skipper Eddie is entirely correct. I think there's a misconception there in terms of the identity, because we kind of changed, the team kind of changed. It's a new setup, new name, but and obviously most influential players have departed as well. And then I think when I was surprised, because I saw Philip Ndlondo starting playing like right wing, which for me, I believe that he ended the season on a high, playing attacking midfield. And I mean, he did well. And obviously with his netbank exploits as well, he did well. I believe that there should have been some form of continuity from that team, so that we don't miss much of the players that had left, you understand? So I think without trying to change so much, give it time to say, listen, assistant coaches, David Matebula and Pomaleka, can you give me the team that finished the last 5 games, irrespective of whoever departed? And then we add where we can, but continue, because I think that's what's failing our South African teams, whereby we don't have any continuity. That's why we somehow too quick to lose our identity and our philosophy or style of play. So I think that's what the coach needed to do, to say, okay, can we continue with this? And then slowly but surely we'll start to introduce the new players, you understand? Because if you look at the game, second half, it was a game of 2 halves. Second half, first half, the team was lost completely. And then second half, they started bringing some few tactical adjustments. Philip going back to his natural position, bringing in this and that. Thabo Mnyamani playing as a false striker again. That's how we ended last season. And the team started knocking at doors and creating chances and so forth. You know, so I think it's just a matter of adjusting tactically, and we'll find the feet.
Okay, cool. Well, you might want to switch over your mic, because the next section we're getting into might compromise you as I go and I ask these gentlemen about his experience. Sebastian Minye, you look, gents, Tim, Eddie, US internationals. This guy, you know, Republic of Congo, he was with the Kenya national team and Equatorial Guinea national team, and then he lands in a club job. I mean, you know, I'm not saying that you can't do both, you know, do the other if you've done the one, but has his experience shaped him for this league? You know, I mean, mine could argue if maybe it was a team, you know, participating in the rest of I don't know. It's like, was he the right appointment? I guess I'm saying. No takers. Eddie,
guys,
silent.
What?
Silent.
Okay, well, I can step in on this one as well.
Oh, really?
I mean,
okay.
Yeah, no. I mean,
you're full of surprises.
Yeah. I mean, much as it's well known that I play for Marumo Gallants, it's understandable. I'll take this one because I can see my two leaders here.
I think it was a simple question. Can he transition successfully from national?
I think, I think on that one, we can say that any coach, if you are a coach, your main important thing is to assemble a squad that can compete at any level, whether it's national team or it's club level. So I think with him in the position that he's in right now, he got into a team that just won a trophy. And at the same time, it had so many issues in terms of player contracts, player departures, because most of the players that were there left because they had one seasons and they got new offers. Others, negotiations didn't go well. Therefore, for him, he had to come in and he didn't have enough time to prepare for the first game. So I think having to give him enough time as well. Well, it was the first game. At least now he knows what South African football is all about. Let's see how they're gonna fare out against Orlando Pirates. So for me, it's just a matter of saying, if you're a coach, you need to assemble a good team. That's all.
For sure. And I mean, he's hoping that his management supports him because, they do have an African adventure on their hands. I was just wondering that if you go from doing national team to a top flight club, if it's the same, if you're ready for that transition. And that's all I'm asking. I don't know why Tim and Eddie think that's a gotcha question. It's not, gents.
I was mindful of what exactly to say, because normally it's going to take him about 5 games. Coaches of that caliber will want to give all the players in the squad an opportunity to be seen.
Right.
And you're going to find that time is not always accorded to them, more especially in the preseason, those friendly. So you're going to have these coaches trying different combinations in the first 5 games. And in those games, they may always get the negative result. Will the management be patient with him to understand what he's trying to achieve and give him time to develop a team? If they do give him time, it changes. But again, my experience tells me that you have got so many players who confuse the coach. In the training, they're world class. When it comes to a serious game, they are nowhere to be seen. So it tells me that the coach now has to get into the minds of the players to understand them individually during training and during a serious competitive game. The two are different. So it takes a good coach to understand and differentiate certain players. You get some players who run their lungs out on training, and it comes in the game in 15 minutes, you're already tired. But this is the player who is confusing the blood test, flipping all the exercises upside down. But when it comes to a serious competitive game, he's not putting that same rig of training into the match.
What do you call that?
Yeah.
What's the term for that? Is that unprofessional? What is that? Are you a trickster?
But again,
it comes out what do you call a player like that? What is that, Brayden? Will you do that?
No, let's just say it's just, when there's no
balance, or what?
Yeah. but again, to add on what Tim is saying, Gamza, I mean, to answer your question in simple terms, obviously national team, you don't work with the players on a daily basis, you understand?
Right.
It's a project for a certain camp, and then now fast forward, you have to change and adapt to a daily routine whereby Monday to Monday you are with this team. And you need to come up with concept, you need to come up with training methods, you need to come up with player management as to, last week I played this guy, now this week I didn't play him, he's mad at me, how do I face him at training? So it's a whole lot of combination of dynamics where he needs to get used to them. But I believe that with his experience and with all he's a well-traveled man as well. So I believe that he'll grasp that quickly. And it all only boils down to what Tim was saying in terms of if the management will give him enough time, and does he have enough time to build on that moving forward. But I see, with the players that he has, he has a good squad. That's the team that won the Nedbank. That's the team that's going to the Confed. We shouldn't forget that. Yes, it might be a change of name, but that's the solid team that competed and played a very attracting football, So I think he'll find his feet as well, we'll see. Let's see how they do against Chiefs. That'll be the real test. Let's see how Gallants do against Chiefs. Pirates. I know, but we know what they do to Chiefs. So that's why I'm saying that that'll be the that was TTM. That was TTM.
Oh, but it's same team, different name. So obviously, but yeah, you're right. They are playing Pirates this week. That should be also another indication. We'll see how that pans out. Let's move on to the drab draw very quickly between Kaizer Chiefs and TS Galaxy. I guess Galaxy will be happier of the two. Even coming into the game, Owen DeGamo was saying that he's gonna have a tough game, and Owen, he's very smart like that. He can always kind of just manage expectations and play things down, and then be one of the coaches of a team that get a smash and grab result. It didn't happen at the weekend. I guess they can both be happy for their clean sheets. Chiefs fans will look at Nurkovic and think, is this guy really up for it this season? Coach reckons that, he's trying and it's just going to pop. And when it does, the goals will flow like a river. But what did you make of Kaizer Chiefs' performance at the weekend. I'll start with you, Eddie. What do you think of the team that Stuart Baxter is looking to assemble?
I think if you look at the game, it was a coach's game, and nothing to write about both teams. I mean, look at Kaizer Chiefs, for example. They got 8 shots and then only 1 on target. It shows you that they did not attack more as they think should be. And then same applies with Test Galaxy. I think both teams, they were very, very cautious. I think they didn't want to take risks. They just say, you know what, if it's a draw, then it's fine. And also Chiefs, I think it's also the very same thing. So we didn't see any team that was attacking. We didn't see any good movements that was happening, any combination play. It was just a game whereby you just watch and say, okay, this team, they don't want to attack. They just want to sit back. And then if these ones come and then they can just defend. If you like Chiefs comes 8 attacks, shots at goals and only 1 on target, 90 minutes for a team like Kaizer Chiefs. And then you yourself, okay, is this the team that really wants to progress and that wants to be the kings? Then it raises questions. No wonder why supporters are very angry, because at least they should have seen something in that game. But because there was absolutely nothing, then the fans will start calling for Baxter's head.
Well, we speak of the fans. We have one such fan joining us. Mpume Nyoga joins us to discuss that. And Mpume, is that your thought, that not enough of the new faces are being utilized by Stuart Baxter, that he's relying too much on the tried and tested? What do you make of his selections, and who do you think needs to factor in a bit more into the starting 11? Welcome.
Thanks, Kamza. Good evening to the guys as well. I have quite a different view on the matter, on the issue of the starting 11. As much as I would really want to see the new guys come in and compete and give us the quality that we've been lacking, but I think it's a matter of managing the starting 11 versus managing the squad. So if you look at, if you hear Baxter's comments, maybe post-match or pre-match, you would pick those things up, that he is trying to build something. Remember why some of the reasons why, one of the reasons why Gavin Hunt was fired is because he failed to manage the squad. So it's all in all, it's not about managing the starting 11, just putting on paper who you want to be, who the players whom you want to see on the starting 11 or playing, starting the game. So it's always about managing the squad, the entire squad. So which means then you manage who comes in and when is the right time. So there is a balance there that you have to maintain. If you take it too far and you make them wait too long, then it might affect the balance of the squad and how the players feel, to perform on the day. So I think it's a balance that you need to maintain as a coach. So Stuart Baxter is a very, very experienced coach. So I think whatever he's doing, he knows exactly we're having problems at the back. So, but he's not just going to bring new players and sort of like disrespect the senior players in a way, because as soon as you show that you already have problems, so I'm bringing you in and as a new player because I have problems, I want you to fix these problems. Maybe it might give a different perspective as to maybe as a new player I might think, okay, I'm here because there's a problem. I'm playing because there's a problem. I'm not playing because maybe I feel like I deserve to be in the team. I have competed with the guys who are already here, and I've proven that I deserve to be in the team. So I think
what's the difference though? Hold on, Mpume, I want to ask you, what's the difference between the two? Because if you're identified and brought to the club, it's because you're coming to address a problem. Surely when you add value, bring exactly. It's like we saw it. Romelu Lukaku goes straight into the Chelsea lineup because he's there to address a problem.
Yeah.
So I get it that he's got a fine, delicate balancing act, because usually centre backs are pairings, and you know, you lose one stretch, you might mess up the other, and you can't go wholesale and change both CBs for new CBs. I get that delicate balancing act, but surely, you know, a time must come. Maybe because at the weekend he can look and say clean sheets might continue in the same way.
Yeah.
But does it really take 4 goals being conceded, 5 goals being conceded to then think about your centre back pairing?
Yeah, that's true. That's very, very much true. But I also believe that whether you like it or not, he has to establish some kind of balance there. So, like I'm saying, if it's a balance, it means he can stray towards the left and he concedes 4 goals, and then there's a problem. Immediately, there's a problem. But at the same time, you need to say, okay, when it comes to senior players, there's a problem there when you come in with a new squad. You know, you're changing, you're making 6, 7 changes at one go. Then that might create some kind of a problem in terms of what happens in the dressing room, because the one group of players that you need buy-in from are your senior players. So this is where now you need to say, okay, as much as I want to balance everything out, but what does it cost? So am I willing to take that cost? Am I willing to pay the price? If it happens that we lose 5-0, then what happens? So it's a tricky, it's a slippery slope where you need to then balance. But I really think that bringing in Ngobo, maybe not even both of them at the same time, maybe one at a time, to say, okay, let's try and figure out this pairing here and try and work from there, from that point onwards. So because we do have problems at the back. It's true. We do have.
So who do you sacrifice?
Maybe
then
bring one.
Who do you sacrifice from Ngobo?
Cardoso. It's clear for me. Well, this is my opinion. Sacrifice Cardoso. For me.
Okay,
I really
I want you to hold on to that thought before you carry on with your answer. Okay. My 2 defenders, please. As we're hearing his answer, I want you to tell me who you would rather be partnered up with between Matoho and Cardoso. As this gentleman says that Cardoso would get the hook for Ngobo. Okay, carry on.
Yeah, I have reasons for that. If you look at, I'm not sure if Cardoso understands his role at the back. Looking at how many times he is caught out of his position, looking just at how you find Cardoso coming from the midfield, and you're like, where is this guy coming from? You see him on the touchline trying to, and he's exposing all the space at the back, and you're like, this guy, does he understand that he is supposed to be close to his partner there? You know, and it's every time. It happens every time. So if you watch every match, come again?
I'm saying, but the reason why he's dragged out of position is because he's covering. So the problem needs to be addressed. I think it's tactically how the team was setting up. Because even in the Sundowns game, you look at it this way, Mato had to keep on covering Njabulo Blom. And like I've alluded in the first conversation when I said, if the 2 centre-back pairings separate, a goal chance is bound to happen, you understand? So meaning we need to address the issue of them having to separate. They only separate because they have to fill into a gap of someone who's not in position. So I think the more important thing is to make sure that we address the issue of shifting between the centre mid and the right full-back. Actually, the triangle between the right midfield, the right center midfield, and the right back. That's where they need to strike a balance. I mean, I believe that with what I saw against Sundowns, there was in one picture frame, there's 4 players around the thrower and Hashim Domingo, which was Lailake and Hashim Domingo. But everyone was ball watching, understand? No one was closing down, and it forced Njabulo Blom went wide with Tembazwane anticipating a throw, and then Tembazwane came in. Now Mato was forced to come out of position, leaving Cardoso isolated. You understand? And once he was isolated, I don't think there was better communication between him and Hlanti as to say, okay, now who's stepping in? Are we shifting or are we standing? There's a striker in between us. What are we doing? So it's just a matter of finding a balance tactically. And I'm just answering in terms of the defensive part of it to say that's why you find sometimes a center back stepping out of position, out of the zone, is just to cover. So we just need to sort out that one. But Tim can answer that one better.
Look, the central...
maybe before Tim answers, sorry, Tim. Just to take you back to the goal that we considered Chiefs considered against Sundowns 2019-2020, that last game, the second leg. If you look there, where there was no reason why Cardoso would go for the same man that Pilanizul was going for, where he was supposed to drop back, and then they both covered the same man. He went out of position to cover Gaston Sereno, and then that through ball was made, and then Gaston Sereno found space between them to go through, and then to score the goal. So I'm saying, as much as I understand your point of saying sometimes he has to come out because he has to cover somewhere, but
and it goes with confidence as well. It goes with confidence as well within your fullbacks, because if you get attacked so many times within the fullbacks, even the center backs, they tend to lose confidence, saying, I know they're gonna get through. So you tend to get dragged, to get sucked out. So that's what I'm saying at that time, and where Kaizer Chiefs are right now. And obviously, to add on to the approach of Stuart Baxter, I think it's amazing, because he's being cautious, bearing fact that tactically they were suffering, they were not doing well. And another factor which is important, which is the psychological factor, the confidence was gone completely. And that on its own, once you lose that as a player, you lose confidence amongst yourselves. You don't trust your teammates. You don't know if team can do the right job. Now you feel like you need to carry team. You need to do your job as well. Those are the combination of errors that can take place because of just a minor thing in terms of tactical and the confidence, the psychological effect within the teams. But I totally understand what you mean, though.
Yeah, no, I think you both raise good points. Well, it happens to me at a 6-a-side. I get pulled out thinking my teammate sucks. Next thing, they score on us. It's just what happens in football. I mean, it's what it is. Tim, I did ask you, out of that pairing, who would you rather be with side by side, Matoho or why are you laughing? Matoho or Cardoso? Who would you want as your partner?
Let me tell you something that is very interesting. There are two center backs that are different in kind. You have got Matoa as a destroyer, and Cardoso try to take the role of the organizer to try and get to play onto the ball, and that's why always pulled into action moments, and he's not always quick to get back to his covering position. So he gets absorbed into enjoying to play and initiate attacks, and he's always caught out of position because of that. But two central defenders are as good as their wing backs, plus the anchor man. Once the wing backs are caught out of position, then the central defenders are always bound to struggle. If the central midfield is not in synchronization with the central backs, is bound to struggle, because whenever you have one center back going to cover maybe the right full back, if the other center back is very far, then you get a center midfield up to become the center half in that moment in time, so that you don't create that gap. So what is happening at Kaizer Chiefs is that there is no understanding. The two central defenders, in my opinion, no one is comfortable on the ball. So most teams, what they are doing, they're allowing Cardoso to have the ball. They're throwing a bait at Cardoso to have the ball, and he's taking the bait, and they allow him to try to move with the ball, and they close the spaces, put him under pressure, and they're getting them out of position. So one of them has to move off. If you've got a comfortable player, for example, there's this central defender from Morocco Swallows. I think if you get him to you'll have that player that will be smooth and to be very stable. Two, it also comes back to the goalkeeping department of Kaizer Chiefs. I've always insisted, for example, if Kune is in goal, Kune first and foremost should concentrate being a goalkeeper. not to be an on-field player. For the last 2 seasons.
Brighton is going to be angry with that.
But it was Vuma in goal this past weekend, Tim. But yeah.
I'm trying to explain that because
Okay.
he's one of the goalkeeper that every goalkeeper wants to model their game on Kune. What has happened? Kune is a very good disputer of the ball. Take nothing that away from him. So what has happened is teams have allowed him to grow into that confidence, and is bypassing the central defenders to try and play the role that the central defenders are meant to play with the ball. So the opponents allowing Kune to try even drive the ball and try to pick that ball. So it's no longer a killer ball. It's a very easy ball that the central defenders are picking up. So the opponent coaches are allowing Kune to do that, and he's playing that same ball, and they are fighting for it, win the second ball, and they are always coming back and finding the central defenders out of position. That has to change.
But it's the fault of the attacking side then. But Tim, on that one, I believe that it's the fault of the attacking structure, the attacking phase, because the previous tenor with Stuart Baxter, of which it brings us back to over the weekend's game. Well, you could see they lacked that speed and decisiveness in terms of the Stuart Baxter's transition effect. You understand that they used to have when they were winning titles. You understand there was more speed, there was more creativity, there was more decisiveness in them. But now with this cautious approach, you can see that they're still trying to find their feet. And make no mistake, I think the two central midfield pairing of Patu and Alexander Cole is growing in confidence as well. But you could see that at some point, Nokovic looked lost because now it seems like he's working very hard as opposed to what he used to do, having the team working hard for him. Now he's working hard for the team in terms of defensive. And then when we win the ball in terms of positive transition, he's found napping on the wrong side of the target because now he's already on the side of the target. You understand? So I believe the attacking phase, that's where now they need to fix. Hence, Stuart Baxter's cautious approach is still trying to have that a bit of continuity, but instilling a bit of confidence in the team, but at the same time with the most tactical discipline effect that they can have. So from there, we need to now focus on saying, okay, now the defensive blocks, they're coming into shape. We can see the two banks of four. We can see now Cole Alexander and Patu, they're trying to stabilize. Therefore, how do we now make use of the creativeness that we have in the team? How do we use the speed and effectiveness that we have? Because that's the kind of approach that Stuart Baxter has. That's the model. That's how he models his game. You understand? So that's what we need to look at now to say, if we have a Kune, how we look at what made us win titles. We had quick players. He could distribute as soon as he wins the ball. That used to, I, for instance, I'd know that every time, whenever we play, we were always bearing in mind that negative transition, we need to be smart. We need to be quick. We need to know where our players are, because as soon as Itu has the ball, he's gonna give it to a George Libisi who's gonna come out flying. You understand? So now that's what they need to do again, to say, look, this is the coach. It's not the first time being here, and it's not the first time person who coached most of these players. He coached them in the national team. They should already understand what he needs, what he wants. And from there, we should already say to ourselves, look, attacking, we need a bit of movement, we need a bit of creativity, we need a bit of decisiveness, and make sure that we are carefree when we're up there and just express ourselves.
There's something that is very
I think also, Tim,
one at a time. Let's go back to Tim. Let's go Tim, and then we go Eddie, and then we'll have you have the last word.
ODG is a very smart coach. His team is a man marking team.
Yeah.
So his players will not have time on the ball. That's a given. So for you to beat ODG, it means that your transition on the play has to be very fast and very quick. So you have to release the ball quicker, get into the channels, cross the ball, and that's when you punish them. If you fail,
and they were slow.
You fail to win, you're gonna have a problem. That's ODG. Will never change.
True.
So when it comes to the transition of Kaizer Chiefs, the way they approach the game, it was a fairly equal result for both teams. Because on any given day, ODG would get a Sanka punch and he takes the 3 points. So, he's very mindful of the fact that they're gonna kick they're going to press. They're not going to allow the likes of Kamabila to have, to get onto the ball and put their heads up, try and pick. They're going to neutralize all those spaces. And once it works very well for them, you're most likely to suffer the ODG game. So he's very good at that. He has mastered it. And it's very difficult to beat him on that unless your players are very quick. They are willing to get those knocks, to be kicked, move the ball faster, willing to get in those channels and try to turn those defenders and punish them. If you fail, they're going to punish you. Now, when I came to the issue of Kune, I was being precise and very honest. No one will say this. Kune needs to be a goalkeeper first and foremost.
Which means what exactly, Tim?
Listen, Kune needs to release the ball to the center defenders, to the midfielders, and they play. Now, on the right time when he has got that ball, he can give that killer pass. That will be an extra added advantage for Kaizer Chiefs. The moment they use him often, Mutrongo have just said that you knew in the team talk, you also knew that the moment he has got the ball, he's going to look to release that ball. So there's no reason for me as a central defender why I should get on the center line, because I know that he's going to play that ball behind me. So I'll stay. So that's an added advantage. That creates gaps between the Chiefs team. You get strikers, midfielders, and the central defenders, apart. Now, you need this block to play as a team, and then at the right time, they can create those spaces. So Kune, that's why he's always, being sort of caught napping in those moments. Like the goals he has been conceding, he's not very sure where he is. I'll be honest with him, just tell him to be a very good goalkeeper at the moment, until such a time when his confidence is up, then he can start playing again.
Interesting. Keep it simple. Eddie, okay, your thoughts. Tim, I'm coming back to you as to who you want your partner to be, because I think you're trying to dodge that question and you're not going to dodge it before we leave tonight. So, Eddie, carry on. Tim, I'm going to circle back, and Pume, we're coming to you.
Tim, this is my question to you. That yes, I understand that Kune is trying to be an infield player, but then what's happening with the two centre backs? Are they calling for the ball? Are they shouting for it? Because if I remember, Tim, when I used to play against you, when you were playing as a centre back, I could hear you, even if I was an opponent, I would hear you shouting, starting to play from the back. So if the two centre backs don't call for the ball, as soon as Kune gets the ball, they're all running forward. What is he then supposed to do?
But if he's telling them to push up,
but then as a defender team, you open up for it, call for it, and then let's play.
That's very important. And what is important is his delivery is spot on. His delivery is very good. Only that when he's doing it, everybody knows that he's going to do it. So it has become an added advantage to the opponents. They are sitting back and waiting for that good ball. And once they're attacking Kaizer Chiefs and those defenders are being turned into strikers, they turn and face their goal. And that's why they are conceding goals.
Yeah, so then the problem, I would say, is the two centre backs that are just quiet. As soon as Kune gets the ball, like you say, they're all 10 and they're all start.
But Eddie, I mean, also Kune most times is the keeper. The keeper's telling you, "Hey, go up, go up, go up." Oh, I got this. What place do those defenders have when the captain's directing the play? Because essentially that's what we saw, right? And the Gavin, that's when he got caught out. It was like he said, "I took the decision to kind of run the play. I chose to be the quarterback." And I remember the one time that he did it, it was very costly. Remember that it was a spell of 2 or 3 games where he was just making horrendous mistakes.
Against Black Leopards. And then Karuri interviewed one and then exact. But that's what I'm saying. But the defenders, they just stand and then they watch Kune. Or they give Kune their backs running forward, not even able to comfortable. So which means that the two center backs are scared to start the play from the. Or is it what they are told that as soon as Kune gets the ball, then let's all go forward. Let's not start from the back.
I think they are scared to tell him as a captain. They are scared to tell him that go first and let's play. Somebody needs to tell him that.
Exactly.
Fair enough. It's a good point. It's a good point you gents making. Pume has unfortunately left us, but gents, we have to keep it moving because we're closing in on 10 o'clock here. And we haven't touched on the other game that we saw. Okay, and Pume, is rejoining. But very quickly, your thoughts in terms of what the gents have said?
Interesting conversation, to be honest. But honestly, I think we're still going to have problems. I noted Brighton's point when he spoke about the issue of the defensive midfield and stuff, and the structure, the entire defensive structure, and your fullbacks as well. But if you look at the system we are currently playing, Stuart Baxter was playing a 4-2-3-1 there, where he's using Nange as well as Cole as double pivots there, and where you could actually see that there is no designated CDM, your central defensive midfielder there. So you see, sometimes you see Cole up there trying to squeeze in those balls, and then you see Nange as well up there upstream trying to squeeze in those to play those passes and in the offensive third. So you can see that what he's trying to accomplish there is it's going to be very challenging for the defensive player to cope if they are going to rely mostly on that structure to have that defensive midfielder there to protect them all the time. So I'm not sure how this is going to pan out at the moment. I could see that he's also trying to introduce some type of patient build up. You could see them passing the ball around there at the back, and so trying to take their time, trying to build up. But you could see that it's something they're not used to. So maybe my solution, I would think he needs to bring in maybe a Ngobo there at the back, pair him up with Matoho, give them a few days, and then maybe introduce Dube, for one match or two until that partnership builds up. Because we need to, at some point, we need to move on from that pair of Cardoso and Matoho. But one more thing before I drop off. I also wanted to make a comment on our recruitment policy or how we go into the markets. I think we are just half-hearted every time we go into the markets, because you go there and then you get that one player, but not thinking that one player doesn't make a team. So in 2018 we did the same. We went out there. We went out there. We got Kama Billiat, but we didn't think who is Kama Billiat going to play with in the team. Who will suit his type of play? And now we went out there and we got Dolly. I don't think we thought as far as to say, okay, what if that CPD doesn't work? What happens then? Do we have a backup plan? So there are too many players available right now, but the team doesn't seem to have that, that drive to go into the markets again. So I think it's going to be a very tough season for us.
Yeah.
Hopefully the team reconsiders their position on going back into the markets, and they just go back and get one or two, maybe a striker, a mobile striker there at the top, just to make sure that Parker's phase, he served the team well. But now maybe it's time for him to just be that positive influence in the dressing room, just get fresh blood into the team. Then maybe that one attacking midfielder. Maybe one right winger as well, maybe three players. And then
quick question
Merry
to
Christmas. Merry Christmas, mate. I don't know. I don't know if you're gonna get those before the transfer windows. That I don't see it happening. Let me just put it that way. Brighton, you wanted to say to him?
Yeah, quick question to Mpume. Mpume, have you thought about, as opposed instead of replacing the centre back pairing? I mean, much of Stuart Baxter's success came from playing three centre backs and two high up wing backs, which when you used Tsepo Masilela, you used the Junaid Mashamaite, you used the Morgan Good in the centre back and Matoho. Have you thought about that? I mean, I think that could work, and it could work in terms of not having both centre backs having to be split. The two centre backs within the three pairing, one can be a cover when the fullback is high up, and the double pivot can act as the cover as well to cut down play. You understand that can work as well.
Yeah.
That would be because it would be a welcome addition, because it will also provide us with that introduction of new blood. We can blood in those new players having to fight with the coach every time to say, no, drop these players. And if he prefers the Mato and Cardoso combination, maybe having that 3 centre-back pairing will be a better option, because it will enable him to keep the 2, and while at the same time introducing new blood into the team. So I think that can work as well. Yeah.
There we go.
We sorted your issue, team. There we go.
I think that could work. That could work, because even Arteta has been said, like, hey, maybe you must try that. Then Tierney won't get exposed as he was. So there's cases for it all over the world where maybe 3 at the back is better than 2. Bume, thank you so much, brother. Enjoy the rest of the show watching from the YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Let's keep it moving.
All right, thanks.
Pirates. Cheers, sir. Eddie, Pirates not able to get the maximum 3 points at the weekend. Some always argue that big teams get the calls in there, especially it was a home game for them. It didn't happen this way. The red card most certainly changed things, but a slow start from Orlando Pirates, Eddie. I mean, to concede so early, when you're the home team and when you're trying to show that you're a different outfit than you were the season before, how convinced were you by their display at the weekend?
I wasn't convinced that Kamza. If you look at Pirates, I think they considered the first goal. I think it was less than a minute when one of the midfielders trying to run with the ball in the center circle. I don't understand, as a midfielder, why would you want to run the ball through the middle? Because you can easily, because once you get intercepted from there, it's definitely a goal, because everybody has opened up. And now when you lose it, that's exactly what happened. Quick one, and then boom, shot, deflection, and then it was a goal. And then now Pirates, they have to now try and now come into the game slowly. While Stellenbosch, they said, okay, listen, if we can score 1 here, let's put more pressure. We can get a second one. That's exactly what they did. And then the game changed. I think it was when a free kick. That was a sheer class from
Dion Hotto, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was magnificent. I think it was a very good free kick. And then now, if you look at the red card, I think, in my opinion, what I saw, yes, if it was the elbow, I would say maybe, I think it was going to be a yellow card, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But then after that, I think they were talking about whether he stepped on him or, things like that. Then it's a different story. But as a defender, you should have known better that it's towards the goal line. Then why don't I just shield him, let the ball go out, and then that's it. But then now, if you raise your elbow, putting your elbow on an opponent, and then unfortunately it was a red card. But I wasn't convinced with Paris. I think they're playing at home. They should have done better in terms of even the selection also, because why put Makaringe, why put Pule on the bench when you really want it? Game when you're playing at home, you want maximum points, and then by the time that you want to introduce them, it's late already. Now you down. There's a guy that has got a red card. Now even the substitution, what you wanted to do, you won't be able. Your tactical play, now you're forced to change because of the red card. So, but I will still blame the technical team for drawing it home.
Okay, that's an interesting take. Of course, the red card, Tim, one will wonder, was the need for such excessive force, there by Nyauza. I get it, it's an intense game. I'm sure he's an intense individual trying to, get his job done. But sometimes, as a defender, you must think about where you are on the pitch and whether, what you're dealing with is such a threat for you to take that kind of action.
Look, experience comes into play. You may have played so many games, but you lack the experience. That's mind management, because at that moment in time, a man less for the team, that's a very huge disadvantage at that moment in time. And for him getting a red card for whatever reason, I think it was uncalled for. Yes, the coach would insist that if it's an elbow, maybe this and this and this. I think it was a indecent play, and the referee saw it need to give a red card for whatever reason. It was a red card. It was uncalled for. And then the conceding of the goal, it brings back to the idea, the principles of defending. If a central midfielder has the ball, there is no need for a central defender to go wide open, to open up. You only try to open up if he's showing that he's going to play you. Then that's when you open up. But the principles of defending are simple. In case he loses the ball, you should be able to delay play or cut out play and give him a chance to recover. Now, when you all spread yourself wide, it's that elusiveness where you think that you won't lose the ball, you're going to play,
So who was the culprit in that example? Who was the one who went without being told to go?
So Ed, what was his name? I'm not very sure about
Tim, say the name, Tim.
Eddie,
Tim,
which
say the
defender
name,
was it? Say the
Tim,
name.
say the name. Tim wants to put, Tim, say it. You know the name.
Tim, we can say it 3 times there by the mirror. Don't worry, nothing bad will happen. Who was it?
Because I was more interested in the likes of Jejiris as the central defenders, because I was interested in seeing how they're going to cover, because that was my area of interest. So for me, once you lose the ball as a central midfielder, there has to be cover. And those has to be the central defenders to cover that. They have to delay that attack. So we shall always look at the central midfielder losing the ball, but it shouldn't. There should be cover for that player to be covered because he has lost the ball. The central defenders were out of position in that case. So for me, if you are going to have that analysis and try to see how we can prevent that from happening, then we can talk about it. Because if he ran with the ball and gave a very good killer pass, we'd all be excited that yes, it was a wonderful move. But now that he has lost the ball, there should be, a player to delay that, to break that attack and try to delay instead of ball washing. So there's that element of ball washing that has to be cut out of their game plan.
That's interesting. I mean, obviously there was a wicked deflection on that one. But obviously, yeah, it's very difficult for the keeper to readjust there. But I hear what you're saying in that maybe Jalen Tyson might have had a hand in what happened there. But then, moving with the keeper, I mean, some people have criticized Richard Ofori, Brighton, and I don't know if it's first goal deflection, second one, I don't know. That one for me looked like the way he kind of slowed down and trickled into his net. Better positioning might have given him a better chance. What do you make of that in terms of, did he maybe trust that Tyson had it under control in such a, not super dangerous area? Judas, we know, doesn't need many chances to score. But who's wrong in that one? I mean, is it the keeper? Is it Tyson? Is it who's at fault?
I mean, when you look at it, it depends how you look at it, Gaza. But for me, when I was analyzing the game, from one thing I saw, it's just a combination of a whole lot of series of errors. Coming back to first goal, for instance, actually it starts with the team selection. I mean, another error whereby we're fiddling with the lineup again. Yeah. Whereby it's a new set of center back pairing and a central midfield pairing as well, which is very important. I mean, once you fiddle with your spine, you're bound to you're gonna lose the chemistry within and the balance within the team, and the main important thing to strike that balance, And then coming back to the goals, I believe that the first goal, we could have the guys could have just stayed very compact, forced the play wide, and delay the play, actually, or force them back, And then they should have been a bit tighter as well, because not tight enough. And then you come back to, okay, the team came back, they fought. Obviously, the red card was very decisive and so forth. And then the team scores, 48 minutes, they scored the second goal. From there, 6 minutes from there, they concede a goal, which for me, I feel like that's where the experience of Tyson and Jelle should come in, whereby now you psych the team up in terms of concentration span, to say, look, guys, much as we have scored, now we need to concentrate. This is a critical phase. Coach Steve Kompela always said, if you score, you are bound to be scored. You understand? Because of the critical phase, the mental state of where you are, you need to realize, So you look at the second goal, you can see that as soon as Staley's got the throw-in, they all switched off. You understand? And when they switched off, lack of communication between the left back and the winger, whereby now there was a third man runner who's taking it, because Happy Gel is the one who cleared the ball for a throwing. He's still recovering to his position. But while he's doing so, if you can look at it, you can see that Tyson has his man. And then out of the blue, he loses, I think he lost concentration as well. He lost his man and he doesn't even know where he is, So, and the body positioning was wrong because it was only facing the ball, whereby I believe that you're supposed to face the ball and the man. At least if you can have them, even if you can open your arms so that you can have the feel of the ball and the feel of the man on your right hand. And as to the movement from Judas, it was good. I mean, Judas came on for just 3 minutes before he could score that goal. And you could see it was a striker's instinct. And that touch that he got, I believe that the goalkeeper was unaware of his positioning. The positioning was wrong. And ever since, from what I've noticed with Ofori, is that his body positioning is wrong, his concentration, his footwork as well. It needs a whole lot of working because the footwork, it's kind of slow. So it needs a whole lot of improvement, both on the first goal and the second goal. But overall, I believe that the experience that was much needed from the senior guys, Happy and Tyson, it should have came into play to say we cannot score. We are one man down. We scored the second goal. I think we need to consolidate and say, guys, let's come back and stay compact, stay rigid, try and manage the game better and see how we can adjust tactically, as opposed to minutes after.
Yeah, I want to ask you though. I mean, we made the point where, players can see what's happening on the pitch and there's levels of distrust sometimes.
Yeah.
Surely if you're a forward and you know that maybe my centre backs get caught out from time to time, you are at your most switched on. Yeah, I could get if your defense is such a wall that you have little to do. That's why you maybe, something catches you off guard. But when you've seen how the guys are playing in front of you throughout the whole game, surely you'd have to say to yourself, listen, I need to be switched on because these guys can get bypassed at any moment. So I don't understand his approach if you know that the defenders in front of you aren't the clean sheet machine. So why aren't you switched on all the time? I don't get it.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it brings me. Yeah. No, you can go ahead, Eddie.
Eddie?
Yeah, because you're saying the things that I wanted to say exactly. I mean, the second goal, if you look at the second goal, like what Brighton was saying, the cross, when the guy was about to cross, then 6 players of Pirates backpedaled into the box.
Right.
And then, so Ofori, as the goalkeeper, seeing 6 people against 1, why are you allowing so many people in the box when you can actually say they must close the guy who was supposed to bring in the cross? Because otherwise, if they press that guy for not allowing him to cross, then it was going to be a different story. But when 6 players drop into the box and then still puts in a cross and then he heads it and then it's a goal, then the goalkeepers, in my opinion, I don't know Brighton, I think in my opinion, when you have 6 players in the box marking one guy, I would punch someone in the head to say, listen, go out there, block, do something out of the box. Because I think once you have 6 players in the box against 1, that causes confusion. Because the one who is saying that this one is going to head it, this one is going to head it. Yes, I understand. Listen, Tyson, a very good player. There's no doubt about that. But now the question that I'm asking myself, that is he the right type of player to play for Pirates? Because most of the games that he has been playing, listen, let's be. He's also a very good friend, but the mistakes that he's doing, are really costing him a lot. Now I don't know if he has been called for the national team. I don't think so. So it's
Eddie.
I'm just saying. This is how I'm seeing things, Tim.
Eddie, I want you to be kind with your words. Say he's not enough for Pirates. Listen. Last season, same thing. Same thing. No. Same thing against last season. Now, first game, again. Okay, let me tell you something. First game of the league. Tyson is going to struggle. Tyson, his game plan does not suit the way Pirates wants to play. So he's not a Pirates material. That's what you say.
No, I think I beg to differ as well.
Let me tell you something that is interesting. Pirates, they will insist to play from the back. Tyson is not comfortable on the ball. Tyson is a kind of player who is gonna destroy, and then you're gonna have maybe Happy Jerry to clean up and organize and play. So their understanding has to be very crucial. So for all the goals that are causing problems for Tyson is that they are playing him the ball to play. And all the time he's seeming to be very uncomfortable and is always found wanting in those areas. That is confidence. Now, no one in the team is recognizing that. They continue playing him balls in those difficult positions where it's not easily for him to pick up the teammate to play the ball to. And losing the ball in transition, caught out of position, there's no cover for him. So that when he makes a mistake, it ends up in the back of the net. And that's what looks so bad. So it's going to take teammates to try and help him to grow his confidence, to try and become very useful for the team. At this moment in time, he's being left like a man up on the sea just to drown at this moment in time. And so it doesn't look like he's a team, is a player that is qualified to play for Pirates, because it looks like now it is every man for himself and Pirates as a team.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying now, Tim. The reason why I said I beg to differ with what Eddie's saying in terms of saying he's not the Pirates player, because for me, I've played with Tyson, national team. I've played with Tyson at Vets and so forth, junior levels as well, national team. Tyson has always been a destroyer, like you are saying. He has always been a robust player. He's always been the man to go to when you need, players who have character, But at the same time, one thing that we forget is that his support structure around him is very key. I mean, at Vets, he had a Bushle Mkhwanazi, brilliant defender. We used to call him Bushle in the brains because he was the brains in that defense. Very vocal, very organizing, So, and I think even Stuart Baxter realized that he needed a Bushle so that Tyson can function. That's why he brought Bushle into the national team, and they formed a solid partnership, So I think right now what's important is to find the right person, because his transition and his integration from where he was, from the national team player, from the Vets player to a Pirates team, it wasn't smooth because of the people around him. So therefore, we need to look at who's better suited to partner Tyson. Who's going to help him in terms of organization?
Who is that, Brighton?
For me, I think let's give Tyson and Happy Jelle a chance, because Happy is all of that. He's vocal. He's good at organizing. Let's give them a chance, because now what's been happening is Happy has been starting from the bench, and then time and again we always wait for something to happen to bring Happy in to stabilize the team, which is too late for me. I believe that now they started them. It's okay. It happened. Now they can get to let's go forward and build on from there.
Something that when we want to start from the back, this is what Pirates want to do. That's why sometimes they were playing even Mayela as the left central defender, because they need to start from the back. Let's play from the back.
This is why it is interesting, Eddie. For me, playing from the back is beautiful on the eye. The question is, do you have the players to do it? For me, coaches should understand the kind of players they have got. I've already said it. We had the same experience at Vets, with Coach Roger and Eric Tinkler, where we wanted to play the Barcelona system, where you two central defenders now split. They become the two right backs and left full back. And then you get the true left full backs getting onto the byline as the right wingers. And you get the midfielders coming to get the ball in the middle. So on trying to play that ball, the Nyenis used to lose the ball in the middle, and it was a free way to the goal. You understand? So the intelligence on the field of play amongst the players has to be there. The intention to play from the back is there. You want to draw the opponents to come and try, and then you open up the spaces. It's there. But when do you do it, and how do you do it?
Yeah.
Because you can't have two central defenders, two central strikers closing you down, and you're still wanting to still play the ball to the likes of Tyson.
And when it comes,
you're playing the likes of Mato, Cardoso, you're making it easier for the opponents to get a chance. So for me, it's very important. When do you play from the back? When should you go up? So for me, the player intelligence has to come in scenic. Secondly, as players, you have to understand each other. Who is comfortable on the ball? Can I pass Eddie when he has got an opponent on? I know Eddie won't lose the ball. Then I can pass him the ball. If Eddie has got an opponent and I know he's not comfortable on the ball, I'll bypass him and play the other, and then he receives a second ball. So that understanding and synchronization. But I know for a fact that in South Africa, if a defender is not comfortable on the ball, even his teammates will laugh at him. So they will take away his confidence. They will say, this one is just kicking our ball away. He's not comfortable with the ball. So if that player is having character, he will not succeed in that. He will drop balls, he will lose the game. So the players need to understand their teammates and the caliber, and then create a very wonderful team to play and be competitive.
But I don't understand why we're seeing this play out in public, guys. I mean, surely as professionals, I have to trust my teammates. And if there's a deficit of trust, then, we have to put in the right characters that lean on each other. Like, why is this, like at this level, really? Like, we're contending with this?
It means that it's not a happy hunting ground at this moment. That one we can know now. Because at the moment because I know that Tyson is not comfortable on the ball. But I was passing the ball under pressure with the opponent.
Yeah, it seems like players are saying, at least as long as they don't get it off me, they can get it off him.
Passing responsibility.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm proud Tyson, because as a central defender, I can tell you, whenever they're going to score a goal, definitely going to be there. Everybody's going to look, where is this defender? But he's always there because he has got character, trying to defend. Others are running away. It's very easy for defenders. In my playing career, one great player was Mabizera. When he was tired, he could go and hide in the middle of the pit. He would play with a touch, anything like that, but he cannot come back to defend. So when they score, they say, who was there? Because the one who was covering is the one is there and they're scoring. But they are scared to say, Mabizera, listen, you ran with the ball in the middle of the pitch and you dropped the ball, you could not come back and defend. Coaches were not bold enough to point out that. It took myself to tell Mabizera, please, you need not run with the ball there. We know we are tired. Stay at the back. Let's make it tight so that we don't concede. So players have to be comfortable with each other. You need to say, listen, Kune, first way to play that long ball, give it, and I'll play it, and first remain there. So if you can't, if you're scared of each other, you're gonna struggle.
But again, team, it goes with developing a purpose. I mean, we're touching base on the important matter when we're talking about building up. Understand? I mean, the main important factor when it comes to build up, you need to provoke the opponent. If they're sitting back, you provoke them to come to you to open up spaces so that you can find spaces behind them. You understand? But therefore, why do we build up if the team is sitting back? Do we know the difference in terms of saying, are we building up if the team is sitting back, or are we launching it forward to play on a second ball? If they're pressing us high, are we launching it forward or are we building up? That's the difference that we need to strike a balance in terms of knowing the purpose as to why are we doing it and which side are we most effective into doing it. So the good point that you made as well is that whenever you are seen in a picture frame where there's a goal, it means you're heavily involved. That's what used to happen with Mpoma Kola, actually, within the Pirates setup, whereby he'd lose a ball and then they'd go, maybe they'd create a chance or they'd score. And then every time he'd feel better about it. Then I said to him, look, it shows that you're a midfielder who's willing to be heavily involved, who wants to play, who wants to be part of the thick of things, you understand? So I think with him, like we've established that all he needs to have is a good support structure around him to understand that, look, he's not that comfortable. And of which, for me, I kind of slightly disagree, because he comes from an Ajax setup whereby they're comfortable with playing. He just needs the confidence. He just needs the confidence. For me,
the confidence is low.
The confidence. That's all. Because he comes from a good setup, and then he got used to the
The setup is not the issue.
Yes,
he is the destroyer. The problem you are getting is to try Tyson to be a playmaker. You are fading. Tyson is
no, but Tim, it's not about trying to make him a team player. It's about, you see, as a central defender team, if I know that I cannot play, I'll do the simplest things. I get the ball and then I pass it. Simple as that. And then I go and mark.
But Eddie,
simple as that.
There is a difference between being played the ball under pressure and you receiving the ball without under pressure. If you are smart and intelligent as Eddie, I know, you'll position yourself away from the opponent, receive the ball with enough time to pass that ball.
I don't
That's
know.
important.
I
That's
think maybe
important.
he's trying to kind of help out, and then in that way you're letting yourself down because you take on everything. Like you say, he doesn't shy away from the responsibility, but then if there's no one around you to make taking that on easier, then you're going to get exposed and it's going to show up, and then you end up on Monday Night Football at 10 o'clock and they're talking about you like we are right now. Anyway, gents, we pushed a marathon session. I think, I just want to get your predictions for the midweek fixtures. Sundowns taking on Gavin down in PE. And then you've got Pirates hosting Gallants. Supersport in action against Arrows, who won that derby at the weekend against Maritzburg. Some astute substitutions there from Coach Siema doing the trick. Amazulu in action against Swallows. Kaiser Chiefs in action against Baroka. Royal AM host Cape Town City. So your pick of the bunch for this week. Which games are you watching with a keen eye? We'll start with you, Eddie.
I would interesting one. I think it should be Sundowns versus Chippa United.
You think one of those cheaper players might play out of their skins to get a contract at Sundowns? That kind of performance. But I think because Gavin coming out from a win, and there's also always there's a history between the Sundowns and Chippa United. So I think it's going to be a very interesting game. I'm not sure in terms of playing because before, when it was what was the question before? Then you know that it's going to be in of playing, it's going to be a 50-50. But now with Gavin, maybe he might try and disturb Sundowns. So I think it's going to be a very interesting game. Okay, Tim.
The Spice Boys.
Versus Spice Boys.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Sorry. The Spice Boys. There's Chili Boys. Yes. The Spice Boys versus Cape Town City. Okay. Yes. That's going to be interesting. Yeah. Because they need to bounce back. That must have been a tough defeat to take, getting, undone so late in the game. The coaches there will have a bit of a job on their hands, Coach Maduka, in getting those boys back in the right frame of mind.
There's nothing much to motivate in that team. Because now they are assured of their paychecks. They are assured of their contracts. If you look at the way they played against Moroka Swallows, given the circumstances of traveling to Pietermaritzburg and come and dish out that result, they're quite a decent side. And it will be a very interesting game to watch. And they're also, introducing themselves to the PSL. It's a huge platform for the management, for the players. For me, it's one of the big games to watch out for.
Yeah, I think it is. It'll be interesting to see. We seem to have lost Brighton there in terms of the signal. So that's a pity. I wonder who, maybe he got a call from management. A gallant manager phoned him and said, "Hey, you need to go to bed." Anyway, guys, we're done for the evening. Thank you so much to both you, Eddie Dinya and Timothy Batabayer, and of course Brighton and Mplongo. Thanks for joining us, and everybody who contributed in the chats and by joining us on. Thanks so much. We're out of time, a 2-hour session. Hope you enjoyed it all. Please remember to subscribe, and we'll catch you in a week's time. Enjoy the midweek action.